Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the latest episode of the Adopt 365 podcast. I'm your host, Barry Coombs, and I'm joined by my co-host, Megan Warren,
Hello.
alongside two special guests. So I've got both Reuben and Sam from the IOPP.
Hey.
Hi there. Hello.
So before we get into the formalities of who you are, why you're joining us, let's do our usual tradition that we do on this podcast and do around the room. What is the one thing that is standing out to you in Microsoft 365 this month? So for those that haven't listened, this is either a new feature that we're really excited about. It's something we might have discovered that might have been around for a while, or actually it might be something we've just been scratching our head about this month, trying to figure out how do we best use it. And as you're our special guest, Sam, let's come to you first. What's your one thing in 365 this month?
So I've got two, just to be different. The first one is the new version of Outlook. So in Outlook now you can toggle to the new version, which in my opinion is basically the web version in a application wrapper. So I've been testing that recently, and I absolutely love the new functionality that's coming. But I think there's definitely some improvements that can be made for workflow. You know, as you're using the product, the workflow improvements and maybe a bit faster. But I can absolutely see the journey that they're going on. It looks really exciting. The second is Microsoft Places. So I have regular conversations with the IOPP board, and something that we are really excited about is the ability for people to put where they're working during their working week. And we really want to increase collaboration in the office, and we feel that this feature will really help drive that collaboration so that people know where they are rather than having to have those manual conversations on a weekly basis saying, where are you? People can just look at someone's calendar, go to Microsoft Places, work out what meetings where, and really kind of, see where people are going and where they're going to be and how long they're going to be there for. So they're mine.
Brilliant. Two great features there. And Sam taking Anthony's usual spot of doing two for the price of one. So thank you ever so much for that, Sam. Reuben, what's your one thing in 365?
Oh, well, I can't let Copilot go without a mention. It's obviously a lot of people are thinking about it. Artificial intelligence is basically on the news all day, every day, and I'm just really excited to find out what Microsoft is going to do in that space and how we're going to really get the best out of AI to help us to improve our productivity. So that's very exciting for me.
We'll definitely have to get you guys on on a future podcast all about AI and the possibilities of AI. It's, as I say, ever changing, ever growing. I hear some cringe stories of people that are using it very unintelligently, and I hear some great stories of people using it with a lot of intelligence. So certainly a very interesting subject. Megan, what's your one thing?
The thing that I've been working with recently is the new version of Teams in Teams. So when you go into your team, your channel, and then your post tab, I've got the new version of that. So rather than all the new information being at the bottom, it's flipped it on its head. It's got a new look and fresher feel to it, and all the new information is at the top. Now, the first couple times you log on, it does take a little bit of time for you to get used to it. But people are so used to the LinkedIn or the Facebook era that we're in that it just feels natural after a while. So I like that. I like that it feels fresher. I am just going to quickly steal another one because Anthony's not here. And Teams Premium is really interesting at the moment. All the additional features you get with Teams Premium, and I think they just released a bunch of new features as part of it that's coming as well, which I haven't dug into yet, but I can see the real benefit if you want a bit more functionality with Teams. That Premium is probably a good way to go about that.
Fantastic. So my one is a feature that I've seen being drip fed, and it probably overlaps with Sam's feature of places. This is all about where are people, where are they working, are they at home, in the office? How am I going to know about that? First of all, I saw it appear under your profile tab in Microsoft Teams. So in there you can set whether you're at home or in the office, go and reset your location. And I think I might have spoken that in the last podcast, but I noticed, so I'm an avid user of Outlook web app. I found that Outlook Windows client for so many years now has been slow and troublesome for me, probably because I don't do a good job of managing my email and my inbox size is absolutely massive. But the web client has done a good job, so I'm looking forward to trying that new version. But you can now at the top of the calendar go and set which days you are in the office and which days you're at home or remote. And you can also set an automatic schedule up Now, I haven't been able to prove this yet, and I haven't had the time to research it, but it would appear that you should be able to see other people's schedules at the top of their calendar. Certainly when I looked at Megan's calendar, the same button there was there that is on mine, where I can go and set that location for Megan if I had the appropriate permissions over her calendar. So I think that's a really good feature. I think we're all looking for ways where we can have more of those accidental water cooler moments, get a bit more of that kind of culture going by bumping into some people. We had a great barbecue day in the office yesterday. Megan cooked everyone in the office a lovely barbecue. So that was sort of 50 burgers, sausages, chicken. I don't think anyone's called in ill yet this morning, but it was really nice to
Of
get
course
everyone
they
together.
haven't.
Oh, actually, I think someone's just gone off. But no, I think it's all good to have that. So as we go forward, today's podcast is all about the office and beyond and exploring the modern working strategies. Now, the IOPP we've worked with, and I like to think of it as a partnership because IOPP are really forward thinking and always try and challenge us with some of the latest and greatest features. But equally, we hopefully provide a lot of resource and thought leadership to them on what they're doing. So let's start with, I've been using the acronym IOPP because I want you guys to explain who you are, what it is you do. Maybe Sam, if I come to you, first of all, could you just bill who are the IOPP, what do you do, and then introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So we are the Institute of Physics Publishing, IOPP, and we are the publishing arm of the Institute of Physics, which is a charity. And our mission is to deliver impact, recognition, and value to the scientific community of which we serve. We pride ourselves on being a trusted partner in the advancement of providing high quality, peer-reviewed research from a global community of researchers, and this delivers social and economic benefit to the world. We have, and we're really proud of this, we have many publications around the world that we distribute, with some of the content being 85 journals. We've got numerous regional websites that we use. We have a magazine, flagship magazine, IOP Science, that's great. Conference proceedings, and also a wide range of books as well. Ben, I know you've got some stuff to say as well. So do you want to pick up anything that is a headliner for you?
Yeah. I think what's really interesting as an organisation is that 100% of our profits actually goes to the Institute of Physics, the institute, and that all that money goes to support physics with numerous activities to help promote the ideals of physics around the world. Our global headquarters is actually in Bristol, but we've also got offices in Beijing and Philadelphia as well, and some other sort of satellite bases. But we are a global business, but headquartered in Bristol. Now, I've become a bit of a physics geek, I suppose, by working here. So I'm always wowed by some of the things that I read, and it's interesting that there's nearly 400 million journal articles have been published in the last decade. So, give you an idea of the numbers: 530 million downloads in the last decade, 120 Nobel laureates and field medal winners have actually published in our journals. And we have actually worked just in 2022 alone, more than 25,000 corresponding authors have actually chosen to publish their work with us. So, it's a really great, interesting business to be part of, and everything from quantum research to black holes and everything in between. That's kind of what we're into. So yeah, it's a very interesting organisation to be part of.
Fantastic. Such a wide remit, and certainly the bit that stands out to me is working the organisation for 5, 6, 7 years. I think I've worked with you guys now, is that kind of appetite to learn, the hunger for information goes beyond your core subject of physics, but into the ways of working, into the way that you approach the openness about trying new things. And that's why it's been wonderful to work with you. And we've also worked with the Institute of Physics as well, and to see that culture spread over there as well. So Sam, what is your role in the Institute of Physics Publishing?
Yeah, sure. So I'm head of digital services. So I head up digital services and modern digital working teams. And basically what this does is I head up the frontline services that we deploy across our worldwide offices. I look after the workplace technology and also the support we provide to all our kind of end users, and also set the kind of strategy for where we want to take the business into the future, from that kind of perspective, so workplace technology. I've been here for about 1.5 years now, so I'm not quite as articulate to sell IAPP as Ben is, which did a great job. But yeah, I'm kind of getting really involved in regards to how we can take us to the next 5 to 10 years and use technology to really drive efficiencies and make our work amazing, basically.
Fantastic. And Reuben, what's your role?
So my job title is Digital Innovation and Engagement Manager. So Sam is my boss. So I'll make sure I don't say nasty things about him. Yeah. But basically, what I'm interested in is how we improve the efficiency of the way that we work. So we want all our people to be able to spend as much time as they can on doing the valuable stuff and less on the boring sort of repetitive stuff. And clearly, M365 is a key way that we can do that. So adopting M365 tools is kind of core to my role. But the other part of it is thinking about what does modern working actually mean to IOPP, and how do we prepare for that? So, we mentioned already artificial intelligence, things like ChatGPT and Copilot. These are all really interesting opportunities, but they're also threats or could be threats. So how do we learn to embrace the opportunities and minimize the threats to some of these sort of core new emerging technologies? That's something that I'm also thinking about. But my core work is about adoption of M365.
Fantastic. So let's do a bit of around the room now. Megan, I'm going to come to you first. What does modern working mean to you when you're talking about it or when talking to customers about it?
I think it's quite it's an individual viewpoint, really. So the way I view modern working may be completely different to the way that you view modern working. And I think, in my opinion, the main thing about modern working for organisations is catering to everybody's different needs, their specific requirements, what they like, what they dislike. And I understand that part of that modern working now is trying to bring everybody back together where necessary, where wanted, but it's also allowing them to work in the most productive way, in the best way, in their favourite way, when they need to, wherever that is, whenever that may be, and on whatever device. So, Barry, you look confused.
No, not
Did
at all.
that answer
No.
your question?
Yeah, I think so. No, that's a really good explanation. Sam, have you got anything to add to that, or equally anything to challenge around that?
No, nothing's challenge. I very much agree. I think modern working. There's so many different components of it. There's so broad. But I think for me, it's office. Gone are the days of boring offices. Throughout my career, I've worked for many different corporates, small businesses, and everywhere in between. And the kind of recurring theme is you go to a building, you worked there before COVID, and then you left, and it was just a clinical white building, or reams and reams of desks and computers, and it just didn't have any character. But I think now a lot of people are really focusing on the place that people want to go to. It has character, it has personality, it has colour, it has that drive to make people to want to go there. And I think for us, when we've gone through this journey, we've kind of wanted to make our offices a home away from home. During lockdown, people were working from home. They're very comfortable for working from home now. And you've kind of got your niceties, the ability to go make yourself a nice coffee, to sit on a sofa if you need to for 10 minutes. And people want that in the office now. So it's about providing a more relaxed workspace so that people can go into work or collaborate with their colleagues, just have a coffee. And I think collaboration is something that's really important as well. So, having a real focus on technology to improve and drive collaboration, so that it doesn't necessarily matter where you work. You could be working from home or you could be working from the office, but any tools you use to bring you together, everyone has an equal say, everyone has that equal opportunity to speak, and everyone has that great experience. So it doesn't matter where you are, everyone has a say at the table. Ben, do you have anything?
I guess one key thought is how we're not really talking about modern working now. It's just working. So the pandemic started in 2020. We're now 2023. So the new normal is just normal. We're not going back. So I think if we sort of change our sort of mode of sort of thinking to be it's working. So what does working need to mean? And I think I think the concept of place as well. So we're not talking about the office now. We're talking about how we provide technology for people's homes when people are on the move. If you're, I call it multimodal, so you're sort of switching between those modes. And fundamentally, I think staff, they just need equipment that allows them to switch modes and do so with comfort, but crucially also safely, because you're carrying the company in your pocket, and you want to make sure that you don't allow data to leak or be sent where it shouldn't be sent while you're switching modes. So I think that's a key part of it as well, is security. But fundamentally, it's about how can we help people to be their best whenever or wherever they're working.
Definitely. I think there's a few words like experience, productivity, collaboration, and security that probably sum up what we're trying to achieve here. And I think one of the things, I mean, there's two things that stand out, and I agree with everything everyone has said, is first of all, it's constantly evolving. There's no end state. This is something now that is constantly going to change. There's constantly going to be new ways, and we need to be evaluating that and figuring out what works and what works individually. What are the guide rails that we're willing to implement as our business to make sure that we're kind of all heading in a similar direction moving forward. And the second point is that with modern working, modern workplace, it's more about just the location or the tools that you're using. It's actually how you do your job. And just because you've always done something, or just because the company's always done something in a certain way or in a certain method, I think we should bring all of that into the conversation as well, as going, actually, is this thing making the best use of our time? What are our goals? What are we trying to achieve? We're seeing things like OKRs be implemented in Viva Goals and stuff like that, and bringing people's purpose, because in this day and age, being connected to a greater purpose, a greater destination, is really important. So we've kind of got to open the remit for everything to be included in the modern workplace. And I think the thing that has really stood out to me, and Reuben, I'll probably come to you with this, as you've been with IOPP a little bit more, but feel free to pass to Sam if needed. IOPP seem to have grasped this concept of modern working, modern workplace, and are running with it. And you were one of my first customers. As I say, we started 5 or so years ago talking about this journey of modern working. Your job title is one that is quite unique. You're not operations manager or support team leader, and that isn't your job, but your role in itself, and even yours, Sam, is completely different to the traditional structure that you see in a business. So what does modern working or the modern workplace mean to IOPP? And Reuben, I'll come to you first, but feel free to pass to Sam as required.
Yeah, so I guess we kind of touched it a little bit is that the spaces need to be fit for purpose. So we need to understand what that purpose is, and that means a conversation. It also is a place that allows for flexibility, and for those that have been to our office, you will sort of see that sort of flexibility is kind of core to everything that we do in terms of the types of room that we offer, the fact that not all desks, we don't have desks for every single member of staff. We don't need that, because what we're trying to do is promote this sort of concept of connectedness, and that's to each other, between the employee and the employer. We want to try and rekindle the connectedness that I think we may have lost pre-pandemic, because we were all in one building. And I think as well, there's a point in there, something around how the modern workplace needs to echo what your brand is. So we talk, for example, about bringing your best self to work. We talk about sharing knowledge, experience, and expertise. We talk about embracing change. They're lovely words, but how does the physical workplace enable that to happen? So what are the choices that we're going to make in the technology that we use, and the physical spaces that we inhabit, that allows us to display those values, which are important to make us all work together cohesively as one organisation.
Sam, you got anything to add to that at all in terms of and fundamentally for me, it's IOPP are embracing this and what it means to IOPP and why put the time and effort in to go and do that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think we're very lucky because we have a really forward-thinking CEO. So our Antonia is amazing in regards to really looking to the future of workplace and how we can improve that. She regularly speaks about having the right place with the right tech and providing the right flexibility to our staff to allow them to do their best work. So when I first joined the company, I was kind of looped in on this secret that we were moving buildings where the rest of the business thought we were just upgrading our existing building, but an opportunity came up where we were actually moving to the distillery, which is a new building in Bristol. And the brief from my then boss was that we needed to have tech that just works, that continues to work, that is reliable, but it's also seamless and stays in the background. So you don't go into the office and you're absolutely bamboozled by tech. But when you have the tech there, it works consistently. You can have a great experience, and there's no grumbles about it not working or being inconsistent. And that's what we are really focused on: is having that ability to be able to collaborate with anyone around the world easily with no challenge, and being able to kind of have quick drop-in conversations or a quick whiteboard with someone. And that's what we've really focused on to make sure that we can just provide these tools so that people can just get the job done. There's no stress or anxiety about tech not working and it being too complicated. It's all about just knowing that it's there and it's going to be there for when you need it.
I recently heard, and I think I've kind of modified this a little bit, but it used to be called the IT department, information technology kind of thing. But now it's all about innovation, experience, and technology. And for me, I think that really sums it up. It's all around customer excellence, your internal customer. It's about being able to offer that experience that is more than just turn it off and on again. Have you logged a ticket for that? That is, oh, let me wipe down one of these old laptops and give it to you kind of thing. It's all about being able to sell an experience with technology and helping the company innovate even further. And that's the bit for me that the Institute of Physics Publishing have really embraced with your fantastic leadership team and all of you in the technology team that make that possible. So let's jump onto this. I don't know who wants to start. So what has the IOPP journey? What are the key milestones been on that modern working journey at IOPP?
I'm happy to take that on if you like, Sam.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
So before we started the journey, I think we were, like many organizations, lots of disparate systems. Our security was patchy. We had lots of legacy technology, and we also were on premise for much of our estate. And so our journey started in 2017 when we really sort of focused on Office and Exchange. We did a Lotus Notes migration at that point, and it was all about sort of simplifying services, I think you would say. So following year, 2018, that's when we were pushing more for a drive for collaboration, and that was the sort of Teams, OneDrive, and Yammer implementation at that point. Take further to the next year, 2019, that's when we moved to SharePoint, and we were making a much more concerted effort to move to the cloud at that point. And so in that year, we were migrating our Atlassian documentation and all our file management into one place onto SharePoint. Very key project for us, and we sort of delivered some really great benefits from doing that. So we'd gone from sort of disparate systems, poor security, to something in a much sort of stronger state at that point. Then 2020 happened, and we all know why that was important. The pandemic, and because we had, and this is good timing. It's not it's luck rather than judgment, I think. But we were able to move to a wholly remote working situation, immediately, with no interruption to our working. It's completely seamless, and so that's credit, I guess, to our team to understand that this was the right path to be going on. But it was luck that we managed to get all that work done before 2020. But in 2022, we got to the end of our lease in our previous location, and we decided to actually think more holistically about ways of working to include the physical building and decided to move from Temple Street in Bristol to a brand new building called the Distillery, which is in the Glassfields estate in Temple Quarter in Bristol. And we were also sort of pushing to get our sort of all of our services to the cloud. So we wanted to get rid of our server room that was on-prem. So that was our kind of key project in 2022. So from 2017, when we were still using Lotus Notes, to 2022, we've radically changed our business. And yeah, we're in a really strong position now to kind of really embrace some of the new technologies that are fast approaching.
It's been interesting to hear that journey, because it's multifaceted. It's gone in lots of different places, and often you hear people talking about sort of a modern working journey, and they talk about, oh we've got Microsoft 365, everyone's using Teams now, and that's where we are. And one of the challenges that I see is around people and bringing people along on that journey. And Megan did warn you there'd be some curveballs. But from that people perspective, I don't know who would be best respond. How have you found the best way to bring the people, the company along on that journey with you?
I think fundamentally from my side it's about the culture. So one of the things that really impressed me when I first joined the company is that we already had an established ways of working. We have team charters. We have a real kind of drive in regards to empowering our people to, discuss and kind of put out there how they want to work. And with that, when we were going on this journey, we were able to kind of look at what people were doing and how they were working and kind of take them on that journey, because we knew what they were doing, if you get what I mean. So we were able to kind of build a new culture as we were going through this change and taking people on that journey. And I think, something as simple as when you're getting new tech put into a new building, onboarding is a really, really important thing to do. So you're going to be training your staff. But we took that a step further, so that as me and the team were going through technology selection, we were actually giving it to some users and getting them to test it so they can give us the feedback. And as we made a decision on each bit of tech, we would buy a sample kit and then install it onto a model office in our old building. So literally our teams could see how the tech was building up. Oh, this is a new docking station. Oh, this is the keyboard and mouse we're using. This is the new screen. This is the webcam. This is the meeting room puck. This is the desk puck. And people could really see how it was developing as it was going through. And we gave the ability to really kind of, challenge and question, so that we knew that when we got to the office, people kind of already knew what was coming. So there was no surprises or no shocks. So it's about bringing the users on that journey as early as possible from my side. But Ben, you've probably got a load more to say in that space as well.
Not a huge amount. I guess one of the key points is placing the employee right at the centre of all decision making. You can't sort of give a project to the member of staff and assume that they're just going to be able to be willing or able to make the jump. So we spent a lot of our time listening to them. First of all, what are their pain points? What are the things that they would like to see? And then, through a period of assessment, then react. Actually do something with that feedback, because that's something that often we do. We're in danger of doing, which is to sort of ask for some feedback and then not do anything with it. And so you have to enter into a contract with the employee, if you're asking for their opinion, to actually then do something with it or explain why something can't happen. So we spent a lot of time in that space. And I think as well, I'm just trying to sort of think of what else is relevant to this particular question. But if we understand their pain points, and we are constantly replaying the benefits as they are being realised, that's another thing that is valuable to do. So I guess to wrap all that up is to don't think of it as technology projects. Think of it as a business change projects. They are projects that are about improving people's lives, not just inflicting technology on people.
Yeah.
I think that kind of people first approach is really important, and some of the things that I've noticed working with the IOPP, and some of this might be that you are a publishing house, and some of this might be the fact that you're forward thinking, is the ways of working, it was a great privilege to take a very small part in the communication aspect of that and working with you guys to create the SharePoint sites that were going to communicate this to the business. But it had a brand, it had its own look and feel, it was well thought out. One of the only ever times I've been given wireframes when building out a SharePoint requirement as we'd love it to look something like this, and this is what the brand is, and this is what these wordings mean. And some of that probably comes from your great work as a publishing house and having the resource inside. But part of that was, look, this is more than just us setting a set of policies as to where it is. This is really about a two-way communication, about the fact that we've listened, about why this is good for you. And that was something that really stood out for me. And to Reuben, to your point, I really like that point of what's the challenge and how is this going to help you overcome that challenge. So it's not the fact, and I'm going to pick a really bad example, we're implementing Teams rooms because they're cool, it's we hear you that the technology is too complicated, that you don't want to faff around at the beginning of a meeting, and you want to be able to easily collaborate with people. Because of that, we're doing this kind of thing. It's reframing the way that you discuss those conversations. Megan, coming to you as a Microsoft certified trainer, then, what are the small wins that you've seen when working with customers, when working with people? Often it's not, oh, we love that whole training course. Often it's a small little thing that they can take away, and maybe has a bigger effect than you thought that piece would have had. You're muted, Meg.
There's always one, and it's always me. So what are the particular features, or what have we seen working that people can implement
just in
themselves?
generally, those kind of surprising moments that kind of led to someone taking something away.
Well, as a whole, the thing I'd say around the training is make sure you understand what the challenges they're facing are, because if you can tailor the content to them and you're not showing them everything for the sake of showing them or anything like that, I think that's when you get the real win, because they see how it will help them in their particular role, rather than just saying, and this is planner and this is to do. You could probably use those if you actually say, look, I know what you're facing at the moment. As a team, you can use planner in this way. As an individual, you use to do in this way, and then it all comes together. They are the moments that people are actually wanting to learn more. They're engaging with that training, and they want to start using it whilst you're still doing the training, which, if I could give anyone any advice, is please watch the training and then use it afterwards, rather than doing it during the training. In terms of those small little things, I don't think you can ever reiterate the basics enough. I think things like how to open up the format box in a Teams chat message so that you can use bullet points, or you can press enter to return a line. That for me is the one thing that everyone goes, oh my God, I've been sending one-line messages for 3 years. I didn't know you could do that. It's just, we're 3 years into this of everyone using Teams, everyone saying they know how to use Teams, but actually, do they know how to use Teams in the right way? Go back to those basics, make sure you've got everyone at the same level, and then start doing the cooler stuff and the more interesting stuff like planner. But yeah, those little things, those little wins as to how do you share a PowerPoint in Teams? Well, I open it, I click share, I share my window, and then I go, oh, did you know you can do it in Teams PowerPoint Live, and you get this view and they get that view? Oh my God, that's so much easier. That makes it so much clearer for me. It's just those basic things I would recommend you just revisit.
That's the one bugbear I have when you've got a team presentation with like hundreds of people on it. It's like, all I can see is my slide. So if you have any questions, can you just interrupt me and then I'll answer your question? Yeah. Whereas they just use PowerPoint Live, they would see the questions coming through, they would see the chat, they would see their slides, and they would have the perfect experience.
I also hate, sorry, I was going to say, when people share it and they don't even put it in presentation mode, so you can see their next slides on the left-hand side.
Massive ick for me there, yeah.
However, I'm that person that I do as they're about to present. I'm like, just before you get into this, you know you can do it this way, and then we'll all have a much better meeting. I will just tell them, because then the next time they'll know. Just be that person. Improve their life, improve your life. Just make it all better for everyone.
Do you think there's an important point also around how you sort of position the sort of training opportunity? So we're moving to a much more sort of like problem solving way of delivering training than perhaps saying people come to this beginner's course to M365, because it doesn't sound very nice. It's probably going to be boring, and guess what, it is. So I think if we're moving to how can I find my stuff type titles, how can I track all the actions that I get given, so start with a problem and then work out which is the best way of solving that problem using the tools, and by so doing you're going to attract the right people to your content. That's the other thing to say about that. And I know from our we're about to embark on quite a large project to unify our induction, for example, where we've identified kind of three phases to it. So the first phase is, what's the stuff that you can give people before they even walk through the door on day one? Tell them that we are a M365 house, and this is where you can get sort of free information if you want to brush up your skills before you even start. And then you've got your traditional day one activity that all inductions have to go through, and which is a short, sharp sort of cheat dip, I guess. But then the third phase, which is the more important phase, is this series of problem-solving opportunities where people can opt in because they recognise for themselves that actually, if I could just turn up for a 30-minute session on how to better track my actions, they will come once they realise that they've got the issue, and so that could be a good way to improve the adoption and the engagement with the business, because you're basing it on problems rather than a series of steps and hoops that you've got to jump through because your boss said so.
And rather than just running the training for the sake of it, actually asking the users, what are you struggling with? What do you need to do? And then running the training course based on the feedback you've got. And again, it's not going to be for everybody, but it's probably majority of people, more than just one person is probably facing that. It's not just that one person that is doing it. If you ask the people, they give you the response, you'll probably get more people that are having that same issue.
Yeah, I think something that we do that's quite interesting. Something we do that's quite interesting as well. Training is really important. Absolutely, you have that key point training that you need to deliver or offer, but we also do smaller like nuggets. So we've got a guy called Gareth in our team that uses Yammer to post out short, sharp, as you put it, Megan, little wins. And it's like those little things that could change your day because it's so cool. So Barry, the mention you said about Outlook and having the place of work, that's really cool. It's so simple to explain. You could explain it in a 30-second video. So we're gravitating to really kind of pushing out short, sharp content. We're in a modern world now. People have 2 seconds to grab someone's attention. So that's what we're really wanting to capitalize on. These short, sharp delivers this feature, 30 seconds, you're going to love it. And it just keeps driving that engagement. So people want to learn more, and then they build those kind of little nuggets as they kind of go through their journey with us.
Yeah, and I think there's also another thing that Gareth does that I would heartily recommend other businesses to try, and that's the Bookings with Me feature. So he wants to create a safe space for people to have a private conversation for asking the silly questions that the people don't feel confident to ask in open forum, even in a training course. And so he's opened up his diary to say, in these areas of my calendar, just book 15 minutes or 30 minutes to have a one-to-one with me, and I'll just take you through some stuff. And it's so you drive the agenda using my time, and that's actually a really great way to create this sort of safe space for people to be able to engage with our team without feeling that they got to go on a course, because they just want that one thing here and now, just to get me over the hump that I got right now, and that's a really valuable tool that we offer.
And I think that openness of being able to have those conversations, and Reuben, you and I joined some of the leadership meetings at IOPT where they went, we're loving this, but all of us have got these few little bits and pieces. Would you mind coming along and just having a kind of all of us, let's just get some stuff out there and see what we can learn. And that kind of led on to us actually delivering those to departments, because I think it was your finance department went, Barry, that was really good. Could you and Reuben now come and join the finance department to do a similar thing for us? And that was a wonderful way that they weren't just letting it get on top of them and go, oh, this is just a pain. They went, actually, it is a bit of a pain, but we know that it's probably something we could learn to. So would you mind just giving us an hour and we can get it all out on table? And I think that openness and willingness to learn is inherent within the IOPP, and my advice to other organisations when you're going through this change, it is a change, it is a business change, Reuben, as you said, this isn't just a technology project. We've got to encourage and embrace the change and realise that people are going to need to do this at different levels. So I love the idea of kind of that safe space and offering different ways for people to be able to consume and learn about this change.
But don't get me wrong, Barry. It's not perfect at IOP by any stretch. So one of the challenges that we have is that there's so much that is coming down the pipe from Microsoft, and we've got a spectrum of people from early adopters that are desperate to get hold of Copilot and go, and there's others that are just want to get the basics right. How do I share my document? How do I use OneDrive? And everything in between. And for those in the sort of early part of their journey, it can be quite stressful for them to sort of see all this stuff coming and feel that it's their responsibility to just know it all. And I don't think we've got the balance right yet in IOPP. We are throwing spaghetti at a wall, as Sam likes to use as an expression. And some of it sticks, but a lot of it doesn't. And so that we still need to kind of work out what is our mode of language and communication that allows people to adopt where they can and almost like leave their worries at the door if they can't. It's okay just to stick on fairly basic ways of working, as long as those ways of working are effective and using best practice.
I think what is important there is that problem was never going to go away. If you're an organization and you're 500 people and that 500 people, they never change, you're always together for forevermore, then you might be able to get the whole organization up to a place over a period of time. But the nature of organizations is people come and go. People will come in with different levels. People have different speeds and methods of wanting to be able to learn. So those things are constantly going to have to be a challenge, and figuring out what works and what is right is always going to be quite difficult from that perspective. So outside of the training and adoption, what are other key lessons that you've learned whilst along this journey?
I'll start, I guess, on the engagement side. So for me, there's like two parts of our journey. There's the kind of M365 engagement lessons, but there's also lessons around moving office. So if I perhaps talk about the engagement stuff first, think about modern digital working. It's not a technical enterprise. It's not a technical project we're delivering. It's a business change program. So that means that you need to have really good, strong, and active executive sponsorship. Get a delivery lead, someone who is just going to be responsible for driving the program. I'm a particularly good one, so follow me. But no, you need someone like me who's an enthusiast and a non-techie. So I don't come from a technical background, but I am sort of passionate about this stuff, and I feel that I know how to sort of make friends and influence people, I guess, because that's important. You need to have a staff that's willing to embrace change, and you can help to influence that by getting them to articulate their pain points, and then taking those pain points and then converting them into solutions using the technology that is promised, and showing them rather than just telling them that the change is happening. You can't do this on your own, so get a champions network. Get some power users, get them trained, get them active, and don't try and do this on your own. And be respectful of their ability and aptitude to engage as well. That's probably another thing. Don't expect all champions to be created equal, but use your champions. I think it's really important to have a really great communication site. Somewhere where people can go to get information in their own time, that is refreshed often, that is current and up to date. So that's important. And I think probably the one that is often overlooked is we call it art of the possible. And that those are kind of almost imaginary sessions. Imagine a life where our vision for the future is going to look like this, and paint that compelling picture, because that's where you get the enthusiasm, because they can sort of see exactly what life is going to look like, and so invest time in the communications, I would say. I don't know if Sam, have you got anything? Sorry, Barry.
Go on. No, go on, Sam.
Yeah, so from like the distillery move, like there's probably a few things that I can call out. So I think partnership is key. External support is actually really, really good. So when I first joined, there was a number of partners we had, and I was thinking we could do this ourselves. But the amount of knowledge and experience they brought to us really helped guide us in regards to delivering the great solution that we have now. Like Computerworld being one of those partners, we absolutely work amazingly together to get the right tech for our employees, and also kind of overcoming the challenges that we've identified. We went into a whole different, pathway discussing docking stations, because we had a challenge previously before we moved where Mac users weren't getting the same experience that Windows users were, because we had the wrong docking station. So we invested a lot of time getting that right. So now that you can sit at any desk in our building and not be a second-class citizen, you will always be empowered to do your work wherever you want to be able to do it. We touched on this previously, but having that model office really did help drive that change, so that people could see the change coming and also use it, and also provide feedback. We didn't get everything right, but we did use that feedback mechanism to then be able to adapt and change. And that's really helped us. So we didn't get to a launch and people say, well, this is rubbish, this is a really poor experience. It was a great experience because we already had that feedback and people already use the technology. And the famous saying, KISS, keep it simple. That's exactly what we really strive to do. So, everything we did, we wanted to keep it consistent. So our desks, where there are desks, everyone's the same. There's no special tech on this desk and raising desk or standing desk on that desk. Everything's the same across the building. But we also really strive to have simplicity with simple things like our passes as well. So we have one ID badge that is universal across all the tech in our building. So we have digital lockers. So you can use our pass to unlock your locker using that card. You can unlock the doors. You can release your printing. You can book your desk. Everything you do in our building is done from that one card. And that one seamless experience, so you don't have that challenge or that anxiety, I've got to have this card or this fob or this code. It's all just done for your card. And also have a launch event, have a training event, spend time on it, spend money on it, get some drinks in, have a party, celebrate the change that you're going through. Don't just deliver it and expect people to work it out themselves. It may seem patronizing, but people really do appreciate it. And we had such great feedback from the events that we did, because people loved the environment, but also weren't scared of it, because it was a significant change. And that event really did help kind of guide people in and warm them to the new environment. And one, I guess, final thing is that this is the start, not the finish. This is the beginning, not the destination. So we are still on a change process. We are still finding things we want to change. There are still improvements that we could be making. And we are constantly reviewing how we can change and making sure that the feedback loops are available to our users so that they can provide feedback so we can react to it. And we're constantly doing that. We haven't got everything perfect. There are things we need to change from a physical point of view, from in regards to where some of our furniture is positioned, to the digital, some of the microphones could be better. And it's about just taking that feedback and working on it so that you can continuously improve. But you're never going to get to the end state. There will always be something you can do.
That continuous journey. And fantastic examples there. It was a privilege to be at your launch party in the evening where we shared a few beers, and I think you had a DJ and other bits and pieces, which was a really good kind of opening the doors formally to the new office space. Megan, one thing I wanted to pick up there was something that Reuben said was around the art of the possible, because that's something that you found quite good when engaging with our customers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of people don't know what they don't know, so actually showing them an application in a real scenario, so not just explaining it, not just saying OneNote's really good because you can put all your notes in there, but actually saying, look, if you've got a meeting that you do on a regular basis and you want everyone to have the meeting minutes and you want them to access it, add to it, whatever they need to do, OneNote's a really good way to do that. And actually showing them those scenarios is a really nice way. The only thing I'd say about that is, again, try and make it relevant to them, but you're never going to make every scenario relevant to everyone in that meeting, especially if you have it at maybe managers coming from different departments, they will all see it in different ways. But the point of those Art of the Possibles is showing them the possible, what is possible with Microsoft 365, and just starting to get them thinking, well, actually, maybe we are facing that challenge and maybe that could be right. And then digging into it a little bit deeper on a one-to-one basis. So yeah, a really good way to do that. And I've seen people go from completely ruling out they don't want to be there in an Art of the Possible because it's not relevant to them, it's not relevant to their department, and then you just show them one thing that they're like, oh, actually, oh no, that could be really help us, and then they just change. And maybe they're not going to love everything, but if you can just help them with that one little thing by showing them something, you'll get the buy-in from them, you'll then get the buy-in from the team, and it'll make it a lot smoother, and it will probably improve their working life as well.
So as we get to wrapping up the podcast, the last question is, what are the benefits to the employees been? What is the feedback that you've got? And Sam, shall I come to you first on that one?
Yeah, so there's so many we could carry on for another hour, but I think it's definitely increased the flexibility of work schedules. You know, we can allow people to work where they want, when they want, how they want. You know, we're getting some great stats from our systems in regards to the utilization of our office. And we're kind of seeing that 15% want to work from the office Monday to Friday. And then the rest is kind of split equally between those that want to come in 1 to 2 days a week or 1 to 2 days a month. So it varies, but we've been able to, you know, really give that flexibility so that people can work where they want to. And it doesn't matter where they work because they're always going to get that same experience, be it from home or from the office. We have 88 desks in our building, and we have 350 employees. So we've been able to reduce our footprint because of the technology we use through desk booking. So by people being able to book their desks when they want it and know that they'll be able to get a desk, we can provide the reassurance that everyone's going to get a desk when they want one. And that has really allowed people to just, you know, come in and dip out when they want to be able to work, and really be able to not stress about having a desk when they walk into the building. Because when you think of hot desking, you kind of have that negative connotation. I'm going to walk in, I'm going to sit next to someone that I don't like, or, you know, there's going to be some kind of negative impact for it. But we've got a desk booking system where you can pre-book your desk, and you can also see who's you're sat next to, or you can book a desk next to someone that you want to work with. And those kind of features that we've implemented have really improved the collaboration that people can do whilst they're in the office, but also take that anxiety out of work hot desking and really kind of, you know, provide a more seamless experience for our users. Reuben, do you want to pick up on anything as well?
Well, an interesting one, I guess, is the fact that you know now that we are so remote, or that we have the potential for that, we can actually recruit in a different way. So we would love people to think that IOPP was an employer of choice, and recruitment is a hard thing for organisations nowadays. So what can we say to that? Well, we know we can recruit nationwide now for roles that we originally thought were bound to Bristol. As long as they can come into Bristol, a couple of times a month, they can be wherever they want to be. And I think as well, obviously we invested so much money in the building, that in itself is going to be a draw for candidates. So recruitment is still challenging, but we feel that we've got some great foundations to sort of place IOPP on the map a little bit. And there are plenty of roles out there if you want to check out our website. But it's a great place to work. Obviously from a employee experience point of view as well, there's simple things like if you've got childcare, you can work from home for an hour, get the kids into school, and then pop on the bus and get into the office. So we're not locked to 9 to 5:30 working hours in the same way. So that has created much less stress in parents, for example, who might have child responsibilities or other caring responsibilities. Operationally, we obviously reduced our space by about a third, I think it is. So, that's obviously has an effect on the bottom line. But communication, innovation, all these things are heightened because of some of the things that we've put in place.
I think also just the final point is sustainability as well. The new building that we've got, and also the new tech that we've put in and recycled everything that we've had, really was a great message for our employees. And we've really reduced our carbon footprint by moving from the building that we were in, which is quite an old building, that was going to have to be retrofit, like the whole thing retrospectively fit out to meet sustainability objectives that we have. Whereas this new building, we have all of the BREEAM accreditations, and I'm not going to go into that because I'm not a building expert, but there's a lot of stuff that we now meet through our move that is now really contributing to the kind of sustainability targets that we have. And that really resonates with our employees as well. It was such an important point that employees were making to us, that we don't want to just chuck out all our tech, or we don't want to just chuck out all our furniture. So as we were going through this journey, we've actually recycled 100% of our technology. If we weren't using it, we've actually donated it to the Good Things Foundation, which is a charity about digital inclusion around the UK. So they can repurpose the tech that we didn't have to provide to people in less able situations to be able to use technology and repurpose it. And that's really gone down well. And we had a very clear objective that we wanted to hit 100% target for recycling. I'm very pleased to say the team hit it. I'm so proud of that as well. But I would definitely say that's a benefit, that we all our employees are just so proud of the sustainability that we now have within our company.
Yeah, I would say as well. So one final point is that we are on our journey still. So one of the things that we are about to recruit for, we're in the process of recruiting now, is a modern workplace experience team. So we've had a look at how we're going to continue these conversations and actually place resource in the building to enable us to effectively welcome, effectively listen, and effectively make changes to our building and our ways of working, so that this is not a static situation, but we're constantly sort of moving forward with some of the changes, and being able to react to the things that are coming down the pipe from organisations like Microsoft, who are obviously helping us on our modern journey, and the building has to reflect some of that as well. So that team will be helping us do that.
Brilliant. Some wonderful points there, and wonderful advantages that your employees have been able to see, and the wider organisation. Sam and Reuben, I really want to thank you for joining us on the podcast and sharing the Institute of Physics Publishing story today. It's, as always, a pleasure and an honour to partnership with you guys on your journey as you move forward. To everyone that is listening to the podcast today, if you are on your journey, if you're right at the beginning, or if you're midway, don't be put out by the fact that maybe how far you are behind the Institute of Physics. The journey can be started at any particular point. We actually have our own maturity score, which Megan will put down in the show notes. So you can go there, you can take our very simple maturity score, and it may pinpoint areas that you could look at to start your journey. Us here at Computer Order there to help you on every step of your journey, whether it is your initial migration, helping your users get the most out of it, securing your modern workspace environment, helping with the fit out of Microsoft Teams rooms, and many more areas. So if we can be of assistance, please reach out. Please remember to like and subscribe to the podcast so you get to listen to future episodes. But above all, thank you ever so much for listening today, and we look forward to speaking to you again on next month's podcast. Thank you.